I'm not one to get sentimental over food. Food is food, it's there to keep you going, maybe taste good if you're lucky. But a couple of months ago I found myself craving something different, something hearty and comforting: soup. I wanted that warm feeling of curling up with a hot bowl of soup, something homemade, earthy and old-fashioned. So I went to the new place in town, Ancient Remedies. It was a strange name for a restaurant, sure, but it was tucked away in a cozy little spot on the corner of Main Street. From the outside, it looked like it could have been someone's living room, a faint orange glow casting a soft light from the windows. When I stepped inside, I was met with a comforting smell, a blend of herbs and spices, something savory and familiar. The air felt warm but with a strange heaviness, like the place was alive with something invisible. A small bell chimed as I entered, and an older woman greeted me with a quiet smile. She wore a deep red apron, her long silver hair tied back, and her eyes held a strange glint that I couldn't quite place. "Looking for something warm tonight?" she asked, her voice smooth and soothing. "Actually, I was hoping to try some soup. I've had this craving, kind of a weird craving, I guess," I said, trying to laugh off the uneasiness in my gut. Her smile widened ever so slightly and she nodded. "Ah, we have just the thing. An old recipe. It's been in my family for generations, actually." She gestured toward a small table in the corner and I took a seat. The woman shuffled into the back, and I heard soft clinks and murmurs as she prepared the soup. The smell grew stronger, richer, filling the small dining area until I felt almost dizzy from it. When she returned, she placed a small bowl in front of me, steam wafting up in curls, and set a simple silver spoon beside it. "Go on," she said, watching me intently. I took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the bowl seep into my hands, and dipped the spoon into the thick, murky broth. As the spoon rose to my mouth, the scent intensified and I felt an odd pang in my stomach, a kind of longing, almost like déjà vu. The first taste was unlike anything I'd ever had. The flavor was rich, deep, earthy, but with a hint of sweetness that was oddly comforting. But there was something else, a subtle bitterness that lingered at the back of my tongue. Before I knew it, I'd taken another spoonful and then another. I couldn't stop. Each mouthful felt like it was satisfying something buried deep within me, something I hadn't known I was missing. When I finally set the spoon down, I realized the bowl was empty. My fingers felt numb and I couldn't shake a strange pressure building behind my eyes. "How did you like it?" the woman asked, her eyes never leaving mine. "It was different. Really good," I managed, though my voice sounded distant, like it was coming from someone else. She nodded, her expression unreadable, and quietly took the empty bowl back to the kitchen. That night I couldn't shake the soup from my mind. The taste lingered on my tongue, and the warmth seemed to pulse through my veins, leaving me feverish. I lay in bed, feeling the strange pressure in my head grow until I could barely keep my eyes closed. When I finally drifted off, my dreams were filled with strange visions. Shadows moving through fog, indistinct figures reaching out with hands that seemed too long, too pale. The next day I tried to go about my routine, but everything felt slightly off. My vision seemed to flicker, shadows lingering at the edge of my sight, and I couldn't shake a constant dull headache. But the strangest part was the hunger. No matter what I ate, it didn't satisfy me. I tried everything, snacks, full meals, even my favorite comfort foods, but nothing helped. By evening I knew what I needed. I had to go back to Ancient Remedies. The bell chimed as I entered, and the woman was already waiting for me, that knowing smile on her face. "Craving the soup again, are we?" she asked softly. I nodded, feeling a strange embarrassment wash over me, like I was admitting to something shameful. But she didn't say anything else. She simply turned and prepared another bowl. This time, I didn't wait for her to leave before I started eating. The first taste hit me even harder than before. The flavors seemed sharper, more intense, filling every corner of my mouth, and I felt a strange warmth spreading through my body, a tingling sensation that prickled beneath my skin. When I finished, I felt a momentary relief, the hunger fading for the first time in days. But as I walked home, I felt something else, a strange sensation, almost like something was moving beneath my skin. My fingers twitched involuntarily, and my legs felt heavier with each step. That night, the dreams returned, but they were sharper, clearer. I saw the woman standing over a large, bubbling pot, her face illuminated by a dim, flickering light. I could see shapes in the shadows around her, twisted forms, barely human. She stirred the pot slowly, humming a tune that echoed in my mind, and as she dipped a ladle into the thick, murky broth, I saw it, small, indistinct shapes floating in the liquid. I tried to scream to wake myself up, but I was paralyzed, forced to watch as she dipped a spoon into the pot and lifted it to my mouth. I woke with a start, my skin slick with cold sweat. I could still taste the soup, its thick warmth clinging to my tongue, but this time, it felt wrong, sour, tainted. I ran to the bathroom and splashed water on my face, trying to shake the feeling of something crawling beneath my skin. But as I looked into the mirror, I froze. Something was moving beneath my skin. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, but as I leaned closer, I could see it clearly. Tiny, dark lines writhing just beneath the surface, twisting and pulsing. I gasped, stumbling back, and felt a sudden pain shoot through my arm. I looked down to see my fingers twitching involuntarily, curling and uncurling like they had a mind of their own. Panic seized me, and I bolted from my apartment, running down the empty streets until I reached Ancient Remedies. The lights were off and the door was locked, but I pounded on it anyway, shouting for the woman. I could feel the movement beneath my skin growing more intense, the writhing lines spreading up my arms, creeping toward my neck. Finally, the door creaked open and the woman stood there, her eyes dark and unfeeling. "You shouldn't have come back," she whispered, her voice barely more than a hiss. "What did you do to me?" I stammered, my voice trembling. She didn't answer, only watching as I clutched my arm, feeling the lines inch closer to my throat. "You asked for it," she said finally. "Craving something warm, something comforting. And now you'll carry that warmth with you, always." Her words sent a chill down my spine, and I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. I tried to speak, to plead with her, but the words died in my throat as the lines reached my jaw. My vision blurred, and I felt myself sinking, my body growing heavy as the warmth turned to fire, searing through my veins. As I collapsed, I heard her voice one last time, soft and distant, echoing in my mind. "The soup has to be fed.